My college essay is driving me crazy, okay? So I've been working on writing it as of recently, and oh my God, okay. So for upcoming like juniors or something that will have to think about this soon, for anyone that just wants to reminisce on how hard it was, I'll give it to you straight, okay? Um, wow, okay, I don't know what happened there. This college essay is miserable, okay? Like you Okay, so it's a very delicate balance you have to walk with everything, okay? You want to have a lot, but you also can't put too much or everything's too shallow, right? But you don't only want to have one thing because then your essay is one dimensional, right? And it's not complex, okay? You want to be honest, but if you're honest and you're an asshole, right? Like, people are bad people, right? And teenagers, especially, like, you probably will have some undesirable characteristics, right? And like the real you might be a bit of an asshole, right? But the colleges don't want to know that, okay? The colleges just want to know what makes you desirable, right? So you can't be really authentic without being an asshole, but then you're undesirable, right? So it's a fine line between walking authenticity and actual like being a good candidate, right? That they're looking for their school. Because you have to fit into the mold of what they want in their school. But also, they say that they want diverse pupils, but if you're not their definition of diverse, then it's a problem, right? Um, like the classic example is like, let's go to Stanford, right? Or like UCLA, right? They say they want diverse opinions on the campus, but if you're Republican and I'm not Republican, right? But if you are one, then you will not you will face, even if you get accepted in, you will face problems. Okay, let's just say that. I don't. But Brett Cooper went to UCLA, I think, but like yeah, I don't know. Right. So you can't you want to have different opinions and you want to be opinionated, but you can't be wrong, and your opinion can't be wrong. Okay. Um, so you have to also be melodramatic because this is like a 40 fucking year old middle aged woman, but you also can't be too melodramatic or it comes off as tacky, right? Or like over exaggerated, right? Um, and like so yeah, there's a fine line between melodrama and over dramatic, right? Oh my God, I'm going crazy. Okay, and then you want to okay you want to write about this thing, but this school has it in their supplemental, so you don't need to write about it. But this school doesn't, right? And the prime example of that is like, why do you want to be in this major, right? Almost like there's like a lot of schools that have a supplemental, right? I'm talking about the personal statement, by the way. There's a lot of schools that have supplemental that's like, why do you want to be in this major, right? But there are some schools that don't have that supplemental. There's no point in repeating something in your personal statement if you can. We'll talk about it in your supplemental, but if that school doesn't have a supplemental, then you just end up not talking about it, right? Like my friend was telling me about nursing today, right? She was like, "Oh, I don't want to write about nursing in my personal statement because University of Pittsburgh doesn't like it has a separate section. It has a supplemental essay. It's like why do you want to like do nursing, right? But Binghamton doesn't have a supplemental, and so you want to incorporate that into Binghamton, right? It's into that personal statement, but you don't want it in your personal statement that goes to U Pittsburgh, right? Okay, and then there's the whole thing of like you wanna you wanna like write authentically and you wanna have your voice in it, but like what if your voice like is like you also don't want to be overly sarcastic, right? You also don't want to be too serious. You might just be bad at writing and you can't get your voice across, or you might just have like a bland voice that sounds robotic, right? Like some people like naturally have robotic speech patterns, right? I literally work with a guy that has a very robotic speech pattern, but that's like really the way he talks, right? But to the reader, they're gonna be like, "Oh, this person can't write. Their speech sounds so robotic." But the reality is that you're a fantastic writer and you did a great job in conveying your voice. But uh, but like the but the essay doesn't reflect that, right? Because like, how would they know if this is you being a bad writer or you being a great writer, right? And there's also the thing of like I wanna I wanna talk about this stuff because this stuff makes me unique. But that unique doesn't necessarily you have to tell them something about yourself, okay? That's the most important part of the college essay. The question that you have to answer when writing the college essay is what what do I want the admissions officer to take away from this? Like what do I want them to know about me, right? And there's a lot of you can't really work that into a lot of things. Like the problem I had with my first draft was that I've been through a lot of stuff, right? But that stuff has made me like a pretty pessimistic person, right? And everything on this channel is a reflection of like stuff that's happened to me, right? Whether I subconsciously or consciously realize it, it's a reflection of my lived experiences, right? But I don't think a college wants an essay about like nihilism or something, right? Even though that is my lived experience, and even though like that's the shit I've been through, I didn't really gain anything from that. It really just made me a worse person, right? It gave me a darker view on the world, right? I'm dead here, by the way. Okay, and then here's my draft for my college essay. Okay, this is my second draft, or actually no, it says draft one in the corner over there. I'll show it to you guys maybe. Do I feel like it? I don't think it's particularly amazing. I don't think it's a good draft to base off of. But like the problems I had was like I had a lot of ideas that I wanted to get down paper, but like look, I literally say low key. I feel like this is like Stanley's notes, right? For like whoever's reading my essay, right? So I can like get specific feedback. Low key, I feel like this essay is a weird Frankenstein of three ideas. I pivoted so much while writing, and it's really weird. If you're reading this, tell me which of the three ideas you like the most, which of the three paragraphs, or if the essay is fine the way it is, right? Because I initially started, right? Like 2 weeks, like it was after the 4th of July, so a month ago now, and I was playing freeze tag, right? At like a playground, and I was like, wait, this is a unique thing I can talk about in my college essay, right? And I wanted to talk about like knowing that you know nothing, right? But then I realized that like the college admissions officer doesn't really get anything from that, right? It's a very cool story, and it shows that I'm like humble and I'm intellectually curious, but that's basically it, right? Like, but every college student is humble and intellectually curious, right? You have to stand out, right? So I scrapped that idea, and I went to this meta thing, right? It's like my first draft of this essay was largely blah blah blah, and then I got feedback on that. That was really bad, right? By the way, so this like I know nothing thing is plotline number one, okay? And we flip the page into this second part, and then I can't write about something I barely understood myself. That's plotline number two, okay? Blah blah blah. Like who was she to tell me that I barely understood myself? That's a separate plot line that like was faintly connected to the idea of like not knowing anything, but like not really. Third plot line I introduced is why did I choose finance, right? Like my friends labeled this all for me. Why did I choose finance, right? So that was plotline number three that I went into, which I didn't even do on purpose. It just so happened that I went into that plotline naturally because I was trying to show that like my humility or whatever, right? And then like I talked about finance. I don't know what any of like look at these annotations, brother. I don't know what any of this. It's not focusing. I don't know what any of this is. And there's like scribbles everywhere. Oh. But anyways, and then there was some stuff about what I don't know what that says. And the plot number four was this like empathy never reciprocated, right? Which was a throwaway line I threw in there, and that introduced a separate plot line that I literally wrote about for one sentence, okay? And then we have plot line number five at the end, which is like by the time I get to my fifth paragraph, right? I was like, oh, I low-key want to write about this, but it's too late now. I'm through the whole essay. I'm gonna sort of show it to them and see what they think, right? Plot number five over here about like a coin flip, right? Like the sentence I wrote was, I've always found a coin toss to be the most beautiful thing, a game of pure chance, because there's no liability or loss, no expectation, and no win. And while that's true, there's nothing to be gained. It's a fire line, okay? Absolute banger of a line. But it doesn't really connect on it. It connects to nothing in the essay, okay? So I wanted to write my new college, like my new essay about this, right? About how, like, I've learned to take risks, right? Risks. And then, like, there's this idea of, like, It's like the idea I'm thinking about right now. I'm just talking to the camera, but that's fine, right? The idea I'm thinking about right now is like a coin flip is reassuring, right? Because when you flip a coin, right? Let's see what a coin in here. Okay, I don't know. I would die. Okay, so here's a die. When you flip a coin, oh my dear attention. If I can find one, I usually have so many coins. I don't know. I'm sure. Oh, here we go. Okay, this is a quarter. Okay, a $1. Okay, when you flip a coin, right? Look. Let's say like you guess heads or tails. Okay, I'm gonna say heads. Okay, it landed heads, right? Okay, let me flip it again. I'm gonna say heads. It landed tails, right? Um, this won't focus, but that landed tails. It looks like a heads on camera, but it's a tails. It's author, activist, composer. Uh, I don't want to butcher this name. It's an indigenous woman, I think. Um, yeah, I think you can make it a shape. It kind of looks like a head, but this is the head. Okay, but anyways, can you blame me for losing that second coin toss? No, right? Because there's no way I could have reasonably predicted that this would have landed on heads or tails because it's a coin toss, right? And it's an unweighed coin. Okay, but and same thing goes for a die, right? But a coin toss is a better metaphor, but because it's a perfect 50-50, right? Um, like let's say you ask me, which number do you think this will land on? You can't really blame me for picking any number and getting it wrong because it's a 1 in 6 chance no matter what, right? But let's say, do you think this number will land on 1? Then you can blame me for getting it wrong because statistically speaking, it's a 5 to 6, right? 5 to 1, sorry. So, if I choose the 1 or if I choose the 5, then I could say, okay, let's say I say it'll land on 1, right? And then it lands on 2, right? So you can say, "Wow, are you an idiot?" It like why would you guess the 1 in 6 chance, right? But then let's say I keep rolling it, and then I haven't landed on 1 a single time here. I landed on 1, right? So you're saying, Stanley, you were favored to win this. How did you lose this, right? So no matter what, there's something to be lost here, right? That's the line. There's no liability and loss, right? Because if you play on a probability, there will always be blame for a loss, right? Either how did you not predict that outcome, or why would you take that risk, right? For a coin flip, you can't be blamed for any outcome, right? But when that's that second part, there's nothing to be gained, right? You wouldn't bet your life savings on a coin flip because you can't make a rational decision on it, right? Unless you're a gambling addict, right? You can't make a rational decision on a coin flip, right? But you would bet a lot more money on this not landing on a 1, right? It landed on a 3 because, like, statistically speaking, you're guaranteed to win some money, right? Or you're very likely to win some money. Or if you bet on a 1, I've landed in 2 and 4 like so many times. I think this die is rated or something. Let's see. Okay, 2 again. 4, 4, 5, 4, 4. It's great. It's a way die on everything. It's a way die. I just hit 4 again. 4 again. Oh, okay. I landed on 2, but let's pretend it landed on 1, right? If it lands on 1, then you get 5 times the payout, right? Because there's a benefit. There's something to be gained from betting on 1, right? And that's 5xing your money. There's something to be gained on it not landing on 1 because you're very likely to win a bit of money, right? On a coin flip, you're literally you win as much money on a win as you lose on a loss. So there's nothing to be gained, right? It's a pointless game, right? And that's the metaphor, right? Coin flips are comfortable because you can't be blamed for a loss, but you have to learn to roll a die, right? Because sometimes you're given 6 choices in life, and one of them will fuck you up, but 5 of them will win you a little bit, right? Or sometimes you're given 6 choices in life, and one of them will get you a lot, and 5 of them will lose you, right? But sometimes you have to be able to take that risk and take that one, right? And sometimes you have to be able to take the five, right? That's the metaphor. I think it's kind of brilliant. I'm still trying to struggle. I'm trying to link it into like a personal story about myself, about like a moment in my life where I didn't take a risk, and link it all back to the coin flip. Maybe the playground is what I link back to the coin flip. Maybe not. I don't know yet. But that's that. That's what this is the crazy ramblings of my college essay. So I don't know. Hopefully that helped you. My best advice for writing this college essay is your first draft. Literally, just write everything that you think you could write about on a piece of paper. Okay, and then if that completely goes south, like I did for me, and you're left with nothing to write about, you go to you go around and you're trying to find inspiration for your college essay. You can find inspiration in everything, okay? Because I promise you, you could have lived the most luxurious life ever, but you will have something to write about because there's no one in this world that doesn't struggle, right? So there's a through line, and you have to find that line, right? And yeah, um, and if you write a second draft with those ideas in mind, but don't be afraid to take risks, right? Don't be afraid to write everything you think about, because now I have a very solid foundation of what I read about taking risks, right? And learning, and like balancing like being cautious with taking risks, right? And yeah. So that's why the answer to the question that you always have to ask yourself is, what do I want colleges to know about me? And I want colleges to know that I'm a risk taker, right? That I'm logical, I can make logical decisions. I'm cautious, right? I have a story about being cautious. While preparing for SGO event, I asked my teacher like 7 times whether the supplies were ready. When I knew they were ready, but I worry a lot, right? Um, and you well, my hair's a mess right now. Uh, but you also have to whatever. But you also like take risks, right? And I'm cautious, but I'm logical, and I'm a risk taker, and I'm adventurous, daring, any of those, right? Yeah, there's that. I don't know how it's gonna turn out. Maybe it goes really. There's some fucker flying around my room. Maybe it goes really south really fast, but we'll see, right? All right, that's that. Hopefully, you guys. Hopefully, this helped you for college essays, or hopefully, this helped you remember how annoying it was to write your college essay, right? And yeah, there's that. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Oh, I've been wanting to make a bow recently out of PVC, so that would be coming up in like the next week or so. So look forward to that. All right, bye guys.